It's already time for a Red Bull, everybody. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We are in the blank void background today. If you're not already, please consider hitting that subscribe button below and liking this video if you like this video. Today I thought it would be fun to show you how I edit my pictures for Instagram. This is what my Instagram looks like. So sometimes they're just basic iPhone photos and sometimes I take them with my camera. This morning I just took some raw photos of my makeup with my camera, and I'm gonna show you how I edit them using the Lightroom mobile app. So for me, if it's like a bigger project or like a photo that really needs retouching, I will go into Photoshop. However, for most photos, I just find it a lot easier to use Lightroom, and I just do it on my phone. Since I'm primarily doing photos for social media that are primarily going to be seen on a phone, it just makes the workflow a lot easier to just do it on my iPhone. So I'm just going to be kind of going through my process. So you'll see how I edit my photos using the Lightroom app. It's not like a full tutorial on the Lightroom app, but you'll kind of pick up on how to use it as well. Basically, I'm going to do a little screen recording situation here. So I've already gone through my photos and picked out my favorites. Okay, we are screen recording, we are recording, so let's just go. So this is the original photo. So it's pretty like nice lighting, pretty good photo, but it is a little bit kind of dull looking. So we are gonna bring it up. So the first thing I do, I don't always do this, but I usually will crop it for Instagram. So Instagram, the long way is 4:5. So I'm gonna crop it, see how that looks. I don't like that. So I'm gonna crop it a little higher. I was trying to avoid this little bump in my hair, and I'm gonna bring it in a little bit closer so that my face is more centered. Perfect. Okay, the next thing I'll do is bring up the exposure. There's a couple ways you can do that. You can just bring up the exposure with this bar here. Or you can use the curve setting. This gives you a little bit more control of where to place that exposure. So that's usually what I'll do. And we're just gonna bring it up a little bit. And I'm also gonna bring up the overall exposure just a smidge as well. Okay, I think that's good for now. We're gonna do some basic stuff. We're gonna bump up the contrast a little bit. I'm gonna bump up the whites. The whites and blacks and the highlights and shadows like virtually do the same thing. They're fairly similar, but I don't know, I just like to use the whites and blacks, and then I'm gonna turn down the blacks as well. Really like there. So if you hold down the screen, you can see the before and after. Just brightened it up. And then I'm gonna go over to color correction. I'm gonna bring up the magenta tint just a little bit because I wanna get rid of any green tones. And because it's a nice and cloudy day, but it's like more summery makeup, I want it to look a little bit sunny. These I took in natural lighting, so I'm gonna bring up the warmth a little bit. I'm gonna bring up the exposure just a teeny bit more. And then I'm gonna go into the detail setting, and I'm gonna go to noise reduction and bring this up to 20. So this helps to get rid of any like great unwanted grain, but it also has a little bit of a smoothing effect, so you can see here. I don't go in with like a super blurring anything, but I do like to do that little thing, so adds just a little bit of smoothing, okay? Okay, so next I'm gonna go into the select feature and grab my little paintbrush, and I'm gonna select basically my eye and my eyebrows. This is the trick that I learned from Alyssa Ashley in her editing iPhone photos tutorial. And we're gonna bring up the sharpness in the eyes fairly high. I also like to go into the light, and again, I will bring up the whites and turn down the blacks just to give a little more contrast. There we go. And then sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't, but I will take the select tool again and just go over my little eyeballs, just the eyeball part. I'll especially do this if my eyes are looking really like red or dull in any way. Okay, that looks creepy. And then we're gonna bring up the exposure just a little bit, and we're also gonna bring up the contrast just a smidge. Just kind of makes the eyes pop a little bit more. As you can see, that's the before and after. I'm really liking this so far, so the next thing I might do is just go into my select tool again and go onto this background. And I'm just selecting the background area, this wall right here that's looking pretty dark. And I like to go in and I'm gonna bump up the exposure like a reasonable amount, not too much. And then we're gonna adjust the tint so it's not quite so green. And it's looking a little weird along the hairline and stuff, so I'm gonna take my eraser. I actually don't know if I like that, so I'm gonna bring the exposure back down. I'm gonna keep the color correction because I don't want it to be so green, but I'm gonna keep it dark. I actually think that looks a little bit better. And I'm just gonna do this a few times and take a look at everything. And then sometimes if I have little spots, like there's this little like speck on my skin here. I don't know what that is. It's nothing major, but I'm just gonna quickly get rid of that with the healing tool. And this too. Just kind of like any like weird little spots I'll get rid of. Sometimes I'll get rid of my blemishes and stuff. I try not to do too much of this because I don't want it to be, you know, like super fake. But just anything that I think is distracting from the overall photo. Okay, so I'm really liking that. So I'm gonna export it. So I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna export it to my camera roll. And go into the camera roll, and that's what we're looking like here. Next, I like to go to my Instagram and just kind of take a look at the photos that are on there and see if it like matches the vibe, you know what I mean? I think it does. This photo's a little bit, it's not quite as exposed, but I like that. I really like this, how this photo is edited. So I'm gonna keep it, and I'm gonna go back to Lightroom, and I'm gonna go to my favorites. And I'm gonna basically choose another photo that I want to edit because I usually do like a set on Instagram basically. Okay, let's do this one, how about? So I'm gonna go to previous and I'm gonna do adjustments. See, it puts the selective ones on there too. So we're gonna move those around. So sometimes I just erase them completely, but I wanna keep the settings. So I'll go in. So being able to go in and click previous, it's kind of like having a preset for that specific like shoot basically. And then before I do the other selective one, I'm gonna do my crop, my little crop here for Instagram. I like that. I'm gonna straighten this a little bit too, I think. Maybe I don't like that. I actually don't wanna straighten it. Okay. Okay, I think that's a good crop for Instagram. And then, yeah, so this part here, I'm just gonna erase most of it with my little tool. Because all we did was color correct this space, really. I'm not too worried about it being super precise. And now that photo is done. Oh, sometimes, okay, so the other thing I like to do, sometimes I'll go in and like fix my teeth. So for that, I'm gonna go in and highlight my teeth with the select tool. Try to get it fairly precise here. I like to go in and turn up the exposure just a tiny bit. I'm gonna make it a little more cool toned and then bring up the magenta too, so that they look a little bit more white. That's a little bit too stark, so I'm just gonna bring down the exposure just a little. I just want a tiny bit. And yeah, that looks good to me, so I'm gonna go ahead and export it. So yeah, and then I basically just go through and do that for each photo, and then I'll put them on the screen here. I actually think this video is gonna go up before that picture is going up on Instagram, so get a little sneak peek of this really simple little summer makeup. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful and you learned something. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below. I'm not like a professional photographer, okay? I mostly just do this for my beauty stuff, but it's something I really enjoy. I really like doing photography. I really like editing photos. So I find it really fun, even if it's just for social media. But yeah, so let me know if you have any questions about the Lightroom mobile app down below, and I can try and help you out or put you in the right direction. Anyways, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Bye. Where's my brain? I'm so tired. And yeah, don't forget to give this video